Greetings, gaming historians, and welcome to Lord of Lore, where we break down the lore and history of our favorite video games and fantasies. And today, we're returning to the world of Amalur to discuss a major but often overlooked aspect of the world's bestiary, and that is the Wild Fae. From the tiny mischievous sprites to the monstrous Crudoks, there are numerous Wild Fae that dot the Faelands, weaving trouble and death for the mortals that seek to call the land home. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the various natures and histories of these races, as well as their role in the Great Cycle. Now, fair warning, there are some spoilers ahead. Let's discuss. Firstly, let's discuss what exactly the Wild Fae are. For most players, the first thing they'll think of when they hear the word Fae are the powerful humanoid members of the Summer and Winter Courts. It is no secret that these Fae are wise, magically talented, and often very stoic, but it is important to remember that much of the Fae the Fateless One meets have experienced many hardships from the Crystal War, including displacement, civil war, and even the loss of much of their power with the fading of Tirnoch's fate. As can be seen by several Fae NPCs, interactions, and bits of lore, the Fae are not always as depressed or reserved as they seem, and they can be quite mischievous or thrill-seeking themselves, particularly house members like the House of Ballads. In fact, some Fae are even known to watch over Wild Fae, keeping them away from the courts or hunting them down to keep the population in check. Also worth noting are the Bolgans and Trolls. These beings are not giants, but rather Fae, and although they are primitive, their use of weaponry and religion probably keeps them from being considered Wild Fae. So what Fae count as wild? One of the first and most common Wild Fae players will meet will be the Bogarts, wooden creatures constructed of wood held together by some magical force. These creatures will attack mortals on sight, and they also seem to have an affinity for protecting the environments that they are made of, from the shore life of Bogart urchins to the poisonous roots of Bogart plague bearers. Interestingly, the Bogart seem to have some semblance of culture or intelligence, dancing and taunting mortals, and even gathering to worship shrines. So why would they do this? Well, a commonly seen animation performed by Bogarts is chasing and consuming blue butterflies, a special insect that is usually only found hovering above magical flowers and locations. Since the Bogarts appear to be held together by the magic flowing through them, do they need to consume these butterflies and gather around shrines to replenish the magic inside them? This could also explain their relationship with the towering Threshes. Tall, menacing, and powerful, Threshes are dangerous Fae that are often surrounded by Bogart followers. Made of gnarled roots and bones, they come in two forms, bog threshes and grave threshes, and they're able to generate their own powerful energy that they will use against intruders and possibly to feed Bogarts. Because of this, the threshes likely play the role of protecting decaying and buried wildlife found in bogs and underground. Speaking of decay, two of the most menacing Wild Fae play the role of scavenging and consuming the dead. These are the serpentine leonash and the bewildering Crudoks. The leonash are twisted, serpentine-like Fae that feed on corpses and grow stronger with age. Interestingly, despite their horrid appearance, their hair-like appendages and curvaceous forms can be mistaken as beautiful naked maidens from a distance, drawing in mortals to become fresh corpses for feeding. Creepy as they are, the title of scariest Fae likely goes to the Crudok. Appearing somewhere between a centaur and a scorpion in structure, these vicious eight-limbed monsters hide huge fanged grins behind a pair of hands that resemble a smiling mask when held together. They spend most of their time underground, bursting out to ambush intruders with their poisonous tails, pouncing claws, and insect swarms that will relentlessly hunt down the player. These attacks also tend to be the bane of low-level rogue and mage builds playing on very hard difficulty. Yeesh. Sometimes, Crudoks can be surrounded by brownies that feast on Crudok leftovers. Interestingly, brownies have a very fat, childlike appearance, lowering their ears and making cute whimpers from a distance before baring their hideous fangs when approached by intruders. Like the Crudoks, brownies will feast on corpses and can sometimes have poisonous powers, a variant known as pestilent brownies, perhaps a result of feeding on rotted flesh or gathering around poisonous Crudoks. While they may certainly play the role of scavenger, their high population, deceptive appearances, and tendency to gather around roads and ruins make them appear to be predators that have the role of harassing mortals trespassing upon Fae territory. However, of all the Wild Fae, the most mischievous and magically powerful species appear to be the Sprites. Though these small-winged creatures often attack with their teeth and claws, some Sprites, known as Sprite Champions, wield elemental powers that they can share with nearby Sprites, increasing their damage and endurance. These champions can wield the powers of fire, ice, lightning, or the primal energies of the Naros Mountains. But the Sprites' magical powers don't stop there. As can be seen in the quest Red in Tooth and Claw, the sprites have the power to curse and transform mortals and animals, such as transforming a wolf into a human with the power of the Wandering Whale. Because of this, it appears that the sprites can channel the power of other mediums to their advantage, not just the power of champions. This could potentially make the sprites the most intelligent and powerful Wild Fae in the game, deliberately harming and tormenting mortals for their own amusement. However, the sprites are still wild and play a role in nature, and one quest reveals that they are born from magical chrysalids that are usually guarded by other Fae, who they will quickly kill and eat upon hatching. And finally, there are numerous other Wild Fae that deserve attention. Root golems are enormous constructions of roots and shore life, probably a larger and more dangerous variant of Bogarts that serve the same function, sometimes even using their own tiny friends as projectiles to ward off intruders. Then there are Bargheths, large wolf-like beasts with powerful forearms and vicious teeth, some of which have the power to drain the magic of its users. This would indicate that they have a role of predator, preying on creatures of both meat and magic. Interestingly, one gnome was able to befriend and raise a mountain Bargheth she named Peaches, who will not attack mortals unless provoked, so it seems their role is more nature-based than outright hunting mortal intruders. Of course, there are likely many more Wild Fae that we have not yet seen, and based on the diversity of Amalur and its residents, one can only guess what strange new Fae players will encounter in future content. But what do you think? Are there any Wild Fae that I missed? What other Fae, based on Celtic folklore or other mythologies, would you like to see? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and remember to drop a like and subscribe so my channel can grow. Feel free to comment what you would like to see next, new videos regularly. God bless!